computer, you'll be able to jump pretty easily to the, or this, and you'll be able to jump onto YouTube and get the thing.
And it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you guys know, if anybody does experience technical difficulties, what I'll try to do is just skip you for a moment, and then just rearrange it a little bit. But if for some reason the problems continue, then we will probably just skip you altogether, and then we will just have a longer Q&A session. The other thing is what you just did, Nicole. You can also just try to put your stop your video just to make it the internet better. I might have to do that, it depends. So that's what I have to say.
So I just want to make sure who is in charge of making this a live stream?
It's already started.
We are live right now.
Good to know. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
No pressure.
Okay.
So Nishka, are you already the host, right? Like when people are speaking, you'll pin them and that sort of stuff.
I'm not, and I just sent Nicole a message.
Okay, I think that we should try to have it so that everybody is muted just automatically. That's what Josh suggested, and I agree. So I think that we should just have it so everybody's muted automatically, and I should be able to speak, and then the speakers themselves should be able to speak.
Yeah.
And then that at the end for Q&A, we can change it up a little bit, but I think that we should definitely do that for the majority of it. Does anybody have any last minute questions? No. Perfect. Thank you guys. This should be a lot of fun. I'm excited. Okay, thank you for those who are joining. I appreciate it. We'll wait for a couple more minutes for people just to come on into the Zoom event. I will be the moderator today. My name is Parker Dalton. I'm a research analyst with Nonviolence International New York. I am currently a senior studying political science and minoring in French and constitutional studies, as well as getting a certificate in national security studies. So as we're just waiting for the next couple of minutes for people to hop on, could everybody do a fun little activity? Could everybody write in the chat box your name, the organization that you're representing, and where you're calling in from? So I will start it off here. So my name is Parker Dalton. I'm with Nonviolence International New York. I'm calling in from Santa Cruz, California. Hello, Ariel from Connecticut, United States. Hello, Inchi from New Jersey, United States. Hello, Josie from Montreal, Canada. Hello, Carolyn. Ursa. Juan from Mexico. Nice. Awesome. Hello, Veronica. Hello, everybody. Let's jump right into it. First of all, I do want to thank you all for coming out and joining this HLPF event entitled Local to Global, Agents of Change, a youth-led initiative. So before I introduce our first speaker, who's the Executive Director of Nonviolence International New York, I want to explain who we are as Agents of Change and what our goal is. So simply put, an agent of change is a leader who makes a difference in everyday life in civil society. Our agents of change are optimists who understand the real pressures that our global communities face. Our mission as agents of change is to prove that with a unique platform, young people can and will take on some of our world's largest issues and confront them head on to find sustainable solutions for a better future. We are working to fulfill Sustainable Development Goals number 16 and 17, but we have a profound understanding of the interconnectivity of all the SDGs, and change makers, specifically youth change makers, can and do make a difference. And that's what we're going to discuss today. So it's my great privilege to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Joshua Kirschbaum. So in early 2018, Nonviolence International welcomed Joshua to be the youngest office head in the network. Quickly after taking office as the executive director, they began to expand, and now Joshua and his teams run the Nonviolence International New York office and the Nonviolence Resource Center in Harlem. Over 12 active programs spanning nonviolent action training, youth leadership empowerment, sustainable peace, and international disarmament, advocacy, and much, much more. Joshua has extensive history in peace building on an international scale and has been trained by some of the world's leading activists in nonviolence methodology. Joshua's past activities include his work connecting major corporate sponsors with important causes, expanding their philanthropic markets throughout Latin America, opening a chain of philanthropic projects across South America from his community center, La Casa de la Vida and Estudio Ecuador, and the formation of Peace Vision Action Coalition, or PeaceVac, allowing the support of coalitions and advocacy groups in civil society and at the UN. Josh, you have the floor. Thank you so much.
Hello. All right. What an intro. Hi, my name is Joshua Kirschbaum. I'm the Executive Director of Nonviolence International New York. And I joined this office in 2014 as an intern. And learned and explored and built connections and friends within the international community that have become strong allies. Because of my time, I found a passion in working with future leaders and giving them a platform and support to impact change. In 2016, there was a study that came out that said more people than ever before in history are standing up for what they believe in. And here in Nonviolence International, we here in Nonviolence International New York, we call those people agents of change. These agents of change, these young future leaders have each come and join a program, and these programs are built to empower them to access different sections of civil society, different organizations, different local groups, and these programs, each one is designed to kind of connect people to elements of power, to the interests that they have, or kind of give them that platform to succeed and the support to try new things. Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey so far. And as of now, we started off in 2014, me, my dad, and, and 10 interns in a small room. And now we have over 200 active participants across the world, all dedicating their time to making a difference, to working both with the international community or in their local communities and building and creating and partnering up with anyone that they can to build that better future. Yeah, I really, the speeches that you're gonna hear, the people who are talking today are all leads of the New York team. And you guys noticed in the chat that that people are from all over the world kind of jumping in, and there's all these people on YouTube. And I don't know, it's incredible to think that so many people can see those issues around the world and can partner up with, we can all be united to make the change. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the other people are saying, and thank you all for joining and being a part of this. And let's go make some sustainable futures.
Thank you so much. Great words. As Joshua mentioned, we're going to be talking and hearing from some of the leaders at Nonviolence International New York, and that's going to take up the majority of the rest of the Zoom meeting at this side event. So we are going to do that, and then for the last 20 minutes, we're going to have a Q&A session where we can open it up to you to ask some questions, so you can be thinking about that as well. Okay, so our first speaker is going to be Nicole Himmel. Nicole Himmel is a research manager at Nonviolence International New York, and currently oversees the Nonviolent Methodologies project for the current 2020 summer semester. She has a degree in finance from the University of New Orleans and has worked as a project manager in the financial services industry before pursuing her master's degree in public administration from Columbia University's School of International and Public Affairs, where she will graduate in 2021 with a concentration in human rights and a dual specialization in UN and international organization studies and management. Nicole, you have the floor.
Thanks so much, Parker. Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys, just letting you know what we're doing over here on the Nonviolent Methodologies team. And it's got a couple of things going on with it. So essentially, what my job is right now is I'm in the process of doing two things with my Nonviolent Methodologies team. So one thing is making sure that the research project goes on and making it's a kind of an extension of things that we've done in previous semesters. And what I do with that team is we all sat down, I did one-on-one interviews with all the new interns, and basically kind of getting a feel for what they're interested in researching and what they have like maybe looked at previously a little bit, and figuring out how we can use their competencies and their interests to really get like kind of an energy behind a good research project that's also going to produce valuable research about nonviolence and nonviolent methodologies and practitioners. And then, so that's one team. And we have interns that are working on that in addition to their other projects that you'll hear after I'm done. And I also have a team that is analyzing the research that we have done previously. So we've had a couple of iterations of this project. And so while we have research that's been done on different nonviolence practitioners, like Thich Nhat Hanh, and of course we have lots of theory with Gene Sharp and Gao Tong. We also have like an analyst team that's going through and making sure that when research gets produced, it's kind of organized in a way that is accessible to people. And so that if anyone comes to like a website, that we have, they're able to kind of understand, how people use different methods in their everyday life. And so it's a way to kind of coordinate like activists or anybody who is interested in just learning academically about like what a nonviolence method looks like kind of in the field. So that way it's kind of analyzing the research and organizing it in a way that's, I guess, like has some user friendliness to it. So yeah, so that's the two teams that I am on. And it's been really great because it's a really good opportunity to see just how talented a lot of our interns are and how interested they are. And also to kind of see the connections between what we think of as, okay, so this area is in conflict, but really like who are the stakeholders, what is being done, and how are these actions translating into real change. So the whole idea is we want to make sure that this information isn't lost and it's, I guess, like carried on in a way. That way, even if it's not somebody famous, it's just a random person who is able to use a nonviolent method of action. That information is able to be, the baton's able to get past the next person. And one of the things that we even noticed, I think in a Monday morning meeting, we were talking about like how history is really interesting because you don't really realize like when it's happening, I guess. But these are some moments where we can take a step back and analyze what happened last year. This person was over here and they were in this kind of environment and they were able to do this kind of thing, and really make sure that historical moments are captured in a way that we really are able to profoundly understand and appreciate them. So that's a part of what we're doing over at the Nonviolent Methodologies Project. And I'll hand it back to you, Parker.
Okay, thank you so much, Nicole. You did a phenomenal job. And what I especially appreciate is your words about preserving the legacies and actions of everyday heroes. And I think that is at the core of what our organization does. And I think that is at the core of the agents of change and what we strive to become more like. And so I can really appreciate that. And your work is very important. Next up, we have Ms. Veronica Leitmanova. She is a research analyst and a track lead for the disarmament team at Nonviolence International New York. She's also liaison overseeing the project developments between the New York office at Nonviolence International and the office in Kiev, Ukraine. She has graduated with a Master of Science degree in Strategic Studies and Energy Security at the University of Aberdeen. She has spent some time studying and working in various places around the world, namely the Netherlands, the Philippines, Scotland, Ukraine, and the United States of America, where she gained most of her experiences in the disarmament and peace studies atmosphere. She is a disarmament and non-proliferation advocate, promoting all disarmament efforts in the area of conventional weapons, especially landmines and small arms, the weapons of choice in contemporary conflicts. She also aspires to contribute a total elimination of nuclear weapons in order to reach a nuclear weapons-free world once and for all. So Veronica, I will leave the floor up to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Parker. Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica Leitmanova. I work as a research analyst on disarmament. And before I move on to my role and my involvement within our team, I would like to briefly explain in a few words what disarmament means. Disarmament is the act of reducing, limiting, and abolishing weapons. Usually, disarmament is focused on weapons, but it can include also areas such as other areas such as tools and technologies. Ultimately, the main purpose of disarmament is world peace and the survival of mankind. As Parker has already mentioned, I am a research analyst on disarmament affairs, which is one of the tracks of Nonviolence International. My role within the organization is to advocate for the full disarmament of small arms and light weapons, conventional weapons, and to some extent of weapons of mass destruction. When it comes to my role within the team, I am a disarmament track lead, where I help or support my team members with their assignments, with new projects, whether they are group-oriented or individual ones. For example, currently my team has been working on developing interview series on disarmament, where my team focuses on two important documents such as Program of Action and Arms Trade Treaty. Soon my team will be conducting 3 to 5 interviews with representatives from the United Nations or other international organizations. This project is in the preparation for the upcoming first committee conference that focuses on disarmament and is usually held at the end of September. We also represent Nonviolence International at various events, whether they are held online or in person. Those ones held in person are always a better option, as it allows us to network with like-minded people or people from the branch, such as peace and disarmament advocates or the United Nations representatives. And here we spread the good name of our office, first of all, and we also work on creating new connections for our future potential partnerships. Other projects are research-oriented. For example, me and my team have been working on creating a small arms and light weapons disarmament guide. And by working on this document, we aim to analyze the life cycle of small arms and light weapons from its manufacturing stage to recycling. This document should be shared among our partners and in our network. Why youth is important in disarmament efforts? Well, youth or young people around the world have a critical role to play in raising awareness and developing new strategies to reduce threats from weapons that exist. So we at Nonviolence International, we aspire to create something meaningful that will motivate other people to join our movement or to join the global movement on disarmament. So how youth can get involved to encourage other youth to promote disarmament? Well, they can contribute it by organizing local or national school activities, for example, or they can participate in, or they can manage workshops for youth to raise awareness. They can also increase involvement in community events and development programs that aid and unite our communities. And they can also partake in global campaigns and get involved on social media by, for example, tweeting about it. So that's the youth involvement, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Great job explaining a little bit about your role and how it relates to disarmament. One thing that I do want to emphasize is that all of the speakers that you're listening to have started out as an intern at Nonviolence International, and they have been so inspirational in working hard and working to affect change. And they're now at the level that they're at because of their kindness and compassion and their drive. So you are truly listening to one of the best speakers in the business, and they are fantastic. They will probably try to undersell themselves, but they are truly fantastic. So the next of these fantastic speakers is Meredith Carbonell. Meredith has a master's degree in negotiation and conflict resolution from Columbia University. and a bachelor's from New York University in interdisciplinary studies with concentrations in human rights and genocide studies. She's a trained mediator, negotiator, and researcher. She has conducted research on peace building, regional cooperation, and conflict analysis in Uganda, Bosnia, Israel, and Jordan. Her past internships include interning for the International Center for Ethno-Religious Mediation, Independent Diplomat, and this Global Center for Responsibility to Protect, where she conducted a variety of research projects and conflict analysis. She's currently a research analyst for Nonviolence International. Meredith, you now have the floor. Thank you.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for your lovely words, Parker. I'm just going to give a brief overview of one of our newest projects called United for Change. This project stemmed out of the recent outcries and protests that we saw in these past few months in May and June from the protests because of George Floyd to the police brutality and the mistreatment of the African American community in the US. This project really focuses on, there's two folds. The portion that I'm currently working on is the research aspect. And I like to mention that we're looking at three sort of different avenues. The first is the victims who unfortunately have lost their lives because of police brutality. So we're looking at George Floyd, we're looking at even Trayvon Martin, we're just looking at an array of victims. The second fold is looking at the different movements throughout history in the US that have evolved in the improvement of lives of the African American community. So we're looking back at the abolishment movement towards slavery, the years during segregation, civil rights movements, and of course now the Black Lives Matter movements that have erupted in mid-2010s. And the last portion is looking at policing in the US. We're looking at how the creation of the police force in the US. Where does it stem, the differences? It's very complicated. If you're not from the US, we have state versus federal. It can be very complicated in terms of that. But I like to also mention that all of the research, all of the writing is done by youth. It's done by our interns. So it's really great to see their work, their passion, as well as bringing up different things that I myself didn't even think of. And it's really a collaborative approach, a conversation to see what should be included, what should not be included. And it's a very exciting project to work on. It's the ultimate goal, of course, is to build sort of a website, a one-all resource to learn more about the history of it, and then ultimately have a section on resources and how to get involved and stuff. And I think that's it for me. If anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to answer. And, yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Meredith. Yeah, the United for Change project is a very timely and important project. What I am very impressed about is Meredith's leadership and her ability to work with a diverse group of youth and find all of their passions and combine their passions to make an effective project that will be useful to that'll be useful to a lot of people. So it's a truly momentous occasion, and I think that we are living in a historic moment, so it's an important time. Thank you. The next speaker is going to be Ms. nvi-ny. Ms. nvi-ny is a research analyst and advocacy project lead for the Civil Society Engagement Project at Nonviolence International New York. She's a recent politics and philosophy graduate, and she has lived and worked in Turkey and the UK before living here in the United States. One of her main interests lie in building bridges and starting a dialogue between cultures and generations. Angie?
Yes, thank you very much, Parker, for that introduction, and thank you everyone for joining. I'm Inji, I'm a research analyst, and I lead the Civil Society Engagement from Home project, which I will refer to as the CSE project. And the CSE project mainly emerged due to its remote nature. It mainly emerged as a response to the global pandemic and the sort of changes in the world we see going on, not just for the civil society world, but also within technology, academics. We see a lot of expertise or a lot of groups that used to be maybe excluded or maybe geographically limited expand to a bigger audience, which makes it easier to increase and enhance our reach, which makes it easier to connect to the SDG 17, which is implementing and creating global partnerships. So the reason why we focused on civil society engagement, as Parker mentioned, is with the objective of building bridges, building dialogue, and as we always focus on in nonviolence, and I think all of our interns and everyone who works there is aware of the fact that for peace, maybe the first step is starting a dialogue, and that allows us to build on something and create something new. So this semester, what the CSE team focused on that specifically to achieve that dialogue is digital networking strategies. And we decided to focus on that again as a result of the changing work culture and the fact that civil society needs to be included in that too. So we've mainly focused on bringing young participants together with civil society coalitions, experts in their area, especially facilitating engagement with the HLPF, as we currently do. And we also have created a series of panels, which are coming up in August, and they will be exploring a range of topics which Nonviolence International relates to as main tracks. So they relate to, mining and indigenous people's rights. They relate to education initiatives and technology in developing countries, and they also relate to the future of humanitarian aid. So they are quite a big range of topics, but the idea is to see how we can facilitate the expertise of more experienced people and from a wide variety of perspectives and sectors and stakeholders with the younger people who are looking to participate in the advancement of the SDGs. So that's what we're trying to do. We have that coming up in August if you are interested. And I think this project was relatively experimental because it did change a lot as it was coming together, and because it was a reaction to current world events, it had to be experimental by nature. So what this, I guess, experimental project showed us is, again, people who are more experts in their area, especially in civil society, tend to be very, very helpful for younger people for participation in those areas. So I just wanted to enhance that, especially facilitating youth participation. We can do that by building a bridge between the older generation and the younger people too. So that's been our project.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Inchi. The CSE, the Civil Society Engagement Project that she's working on, more information can be given out on our website as far as the projects that she mentioned. And I really appreciate that she discusses the need for a dialogue and a bridging of generations of the older, more experienced generation in civil society and the youth. And the UN defines youth as anybody under the age of 35. And so it's a very, very important age group, and it's important to understand the expertise needed to affect large-scale global change. And it's important to blend those two different groups together. So thank you for discussing that. Our final speaker is going to be Ms. Sarah Kirschbaum. And she has studied education at the University of Arizona. She is focused on teaching those who learn differently from students who from different cultures, languages, and backgrounds. She has a passion for making knowledge accessible. That is why Sarah has co-created an educational experience that involves connecting future leaders from around the globe and civil society at the United Nations. Now let me connect you with the New York Graduate Plan's Director of Education, Ms. Sarah Kirschbaum. Sarah?
Hello. We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say that it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. I believe Fred Rogers' quote describes the people in this Zoom. You are a hero because you took the responsibility upon yourself to change our world for the better. Each group here has goals, dreams, and plans of action that inspire you to stand up for change. By training and inspiring a new generation to become agents of change, we are here to support the various missions of the international community. My name is Sarah Kirschbaum. I work for Nonviolence International New York as the New York Graduate Plan's Director of Education. The New York Graduate Plan is an educational opportunity for students that have focused their studies on political science and international affairs. This program will provide them with professional experience in civil society with the United Nations, as they will be trained by UNITAR and Nonviolence International NY, and they will gain opportunities to build connections through digital fieldwork starting this fall. This experience will provide the bridge between their education and their career by expanding their studies and allowing them to apply their wealth of knowledge in civil society. This program teaches youth the skills needed to get ahead in their career by having them work in the fields. They will be doing interviews, classes, and campaigns for groups just like yours. This provides the attendees with trainings and set them up for their career while providing civil society the manpower to achieve their goals. The students will be able to choose from 3 tracks: political peace building, nonviolence methodology, and civil society engagement. Each of these tracks focus on skill sets that will make their message heard and respected amongst the international community. There are 3 ways to sign up. Students can apply directly, or organizations can sign up to secure an intern to support their program with the link that we're going to provide. They could also send in their own intern to get the training that we have provided. Our dream is to provide a platform for these students to follow their dreams and take action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you for introducing the New York Graduate Plan. It's going to be a phenomenal opportunity and educational experience. And I fully believe that it will revolutionize the way that we engage in civil society at the UN and in other circles as well. So thank you. Thank you to all of our speakers. That was a lot of information and you guys did a fantastic job. I learned a lot and I'm sure that everybody did as well. We're gonna spend the next 20 minutes to open up a discussion to all of you. We're going to be able to have a question and answer portion. My colleague, Nishka Malik, who is doing a phenomenal job in the technical side of all of this. She's the unsung and unseen hero. She will be helping facilitate this Q&A session. So you may use the raise my hand function on the on Zoom, or if it's easier, you may directly type your question into the chat box. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nishka. Thank you, Parker, and all of our speakers. That's been a really helpful and interesting discussion so far. I'm a research analyst at Nonviolence International New York, and I'm just going to be helping facilitate some questions from our participants. So I already see that someone has a question in the chat box. Thank you, Divya Sugand, calling from India. This question's for Sarah. It's related to the New York Graduate Plan. Sarah, Divya would like to know if you could explain more about the training involved in the graduate plan.
Thank you for your question. So it will be a 3-week program, and the first 2 weeks it'll be a 3-month program, sorry. The first 2 months will have focused classes on training by the UN diplomats through UNITAR, and they will be trained, they will come in weekly to do trainings. And then there will also be training on peace building by professors at Nonviolence International. There'll be peace building and other communication skills, leadership skills, all those types of skills will be in this program. And the program that's available right now is all online. It's the New York Graduate Plan online. And so this will all be facilitated from the convenience of your home. And you won't have to worry about visas and all that kind of stuff to get to this program. So it's a lot more accessible.
Thank you, Sarah. I think that was really helpful. We've also learned a lot about the graduate program, and we're really excited about all the opportunities to train, network, learn, just a lot of these different aspects in one plan. So that's pretty cool. So thank you. Our next question is also in the chat. It's from Ariel Rosenthal. Ariel wants to know, hi, how does Nonviolence International New York allow you to feel that you are a part of a greater global community? And what partner organizations does NVI New York work with? That's a great question. I think perhaps Josh would be the best person to start off answering this with. Josh, do you want to take over?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does Nonviolence International allow you to feel that you're part of a greater global community, and what partner organizations do we work with?
So let's see. So those are two separate questions. So basically, when it comes to how you are involved with the international community, how you feel a part of it, most of our programs are sectioned off into about 2 different sections. So one, you join a program and you join our community of 200 plus active volunteers, and you all work together, and everyone in the program, in each of these programs, have a project. That's where you connect to the different types of partners and allies. So basically, each of the projects that any of the volunteers, interns, or students would have, all of them are connected to a partner. Anyways, so basically, the partners are groups. Usually we partner with coalitions, so they take part as active leaders within a project. And so the partners include IENZA, NGO Major Group. We've done projects with nvi-ny, CSW, or NGO CSW. We've worked, depending on the project, we find multiple partners, and then the interns, volunteers, and participants take a lead role on engaging with the international community, helping organize, facilitate, or support these projects. And then it becomes this partnership between. So depending on the project and the semester, the partners themselves vary. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was a really good answer. Thank you. So yeah, as all our participants probably heard, we have a lot of different partners that we work with, depends on the project and the event. So thank you, Josh, for answering that. And thank you, Ariel, for your question. Let's see. So if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to use the raise your hand function or put them directly in the chat. Let's give it a couple seconds here.
I just want to share too. I just saw that Ariel had a part to the question, and this kind of I wanted to just share like that are able. We're all from, and Meredith, we're all from last semester. And it was a really amazing experience to be able to kind of like work together. And what ended up happening was, even though I was the lead on the NGO CSW project, they all had my back. And it was really great. And we were all kind of able to like, I guess, kind of work together and support each other on our different like major projects, right? And so, for instance, one of the things that I need to do for NGO CSW was, along with going to meetings and like helping, really trying to make sure that they reach out to like other contacts, because everybody is coming from, you know, their whatever previous groups they've worked with or their education networks. And another one of like our volunteers that was with us at the time, you know, he connected us to his education network. We were able to get a bunch of volunteers together. I worked with the you know, the person in charge of NGO CSW to go to all the buildings, check and make sure we had like, you know, where do people need to be stationed? What are things that volunteers need to do? How can we present ourselves so that everyone understands exactly, you know, as they're coming into this, to these parallel events, you know, where to go, and it's a smooth transition because it's a very fast transition. So it's basically, for us, it was a lot of coordination, a lot of thinking about, you know, what are the needs that we might not even really see that aren't being met, and so that everything like flows and we anticipate, you know, everything that could possibly be needed. So it was event planning, but it was also training as well, because we were also responsible for making sure that at each like level of like volunteers, so if there's like a team lead, if there's people that are volunteering with them at a specific location, they know what they're doing at all times, and they've coordinated with the building manager and stuff like that. And I had never, just going back to the global community, I had never really known much about CSW before being a part of that project. And it was one of the most enriching experiences of my life. I had no idea there's such a robust feminist movement internationally, which you think like, that's something that everyone knows about. But I mean, I was a novice to it, you know, as somebody who was in a different field, and I'm kind of transitioning into this, you know, international studies. Like firsthand, like my first experience right out the gate with CSW and, you know, with UN Women, it was this incredibly like personal experience where I was meeting everyone. And a big initiative that we had was a big, intergenerational communication. And it was good to know that that was the focus of CSW in a lot of ways. And they had a phrase for it, but I forgot what the phrase was. And then just from planning it, we were really, you know, able to walk the walk and talk the talk and everything, you know, to have it be an intergenerational experience.
Definitely. Thank you for jumping in, Nicole. I think it's really important for all of our participants to know that it's a very hands-on experience. It's not your typical classroom learning, especially in times of social distancing. So it can still be hands-on. It has been, and that's something to look forward to. So
although you also have to produce research at the same time.
Right. So there's still like projects that you're doing and working on. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. We have a couple more questions in the chat. So for Nicole, Divya wanted to comment and said that she was there last year and completely agrees with you. So that's a great coincidence. Question from Mariana Osipova. Question to everybody at Nonviolence International and other organizations. Do you use sports and culture, in particular street culture, as a tool to prevent violence and extremism among youth? If yes or no, do you see it as a powerful tool, and why? And Mariana is calling from Russia. Is there anyone who wants to jump in and answer that question? A very interesting question. Inchi, awesome.
Thank you so much, Mariana, for that question. I think it's very interesting because not necessarily sports, but I am very interested in like culture and arts also. And we actually, before we were remote, we were in a Harlem office, which is, and you can see a lot of street art there. You can see a lot of the history of the neighborhood there. And obviously, it can be a challenging neighborhood at times. So I think all of us attending as interns have been within that atmosphere. To my knowledge, we haven't necessarily done anything to use arts and culture or sports as a tool yet. But I think it's a really important question because it's definitely a very powerful tool. And whether we do it through a dialogue of a Zoom call of the sorts or an art piece, or sports, just bringing people together from different cultures. And again, starting that dialogue, building that bridge, it brings up something new. So I think in my opinion, that's a very important point of nonviolence and peace in general.
Thank you so much for taking on that question. I think a lot of us haven't been to the physical New York office yet, so we haven't been able to also experience that, but definitely really important and something to keep in mind for future events, whether in person or online, ways to can incorporate
One
that.
more. Can I jump in?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Hey, one thing about street art and protesting and all these different forms of expressing support for a cause or trying to give out, trying to communicate with your audience. We definitely, there's actually the office in DC has come up with 300 and something forms of nonviolent action that explains different forms of kind of how to express to the people in power, how to gain the support, stuff like that. And I think that question of street art versus protesting versus letters versus, all these different forms of action, we definitely support. And actually we have different workshops in different ways to, we host different workshops in different forms of kind of showing you how to explore those different options. Definitely art is one of my passions, like filmmaking, photography, all these forms where you have this visual art that has multiple mediums attached. And this is something that if used correctly, either over social media or out on the street amongst crowds or whatever form, it's one of the most incredible ways to communicate with the general public or the people within a community. And our office focuses more on kind of civil society, the international community, but we're part of a vast network of offices where each one has, where each regional office focuses on the issues in the location. And so, for example, video games has been something that the Southeast Asia office has built, is peace education, learning international law versus using, Castle Crush, I think it was, where they taught how to use Castle. They basically, by playing Castle Crush in these tournaments, you were learning international law, you were learning how to advocate for yourself, and you were following international law with your little army that you built. And they also did that with drones in their disarmament work of the, I'm forgetting keywords. I'm always a stage shy. Anyways, but they also did ones where they played basketball to bring groups together, and they did and different groups around. And there's art classes in the Ukraine, I believe, where they do peace education via art, and they help empower young people to kind of be able to express themselves and find those solutions. And they do it through the painting and the sculpting and I don't know what they do, to be honest, but that's all, that's some of the stuff around the world that our offices have done and that I've seen firsthand. I think that Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think those are definitely some of the most creative projects I've ever heard of, especially for international peace building. Also, Mariana sent in a link to a UNODC article, and I would encourage everyone to take a look. I was only able to skim briefly, but it looks very interesting. So thank you so much for that. All right. If anybody else has any more questions, we're running short on time, but maybe one last question. If you want to raise your hand or send it into the chat, please feel free. If not, we have a question on our Instagram from Georgia Political Review. And I think Sarah might be the best to answer this one. They want to know, do graduate plan participants get to pick their own projects?
So our advocacy leaders will be going into the UN and getting projects and we'll have a wide variety. If they have a topic that they're very interested in the interview process, we can discuss that and try to find a project that works well with their interests. Like I said earlier, organizations can pitch projects as well. Josh, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, so normally first semester students or participants don't choose their projects as directly. Normally we have a whole bunch of projects and they fit within a track or a focus, depending on the program. When we interview with the participants, that's when we kind of help make sure that their interests fit within those tracks. And then within those tracks, they work with the team and kind of build out those projects. So that's kind of it's kind of yes and no, especially first semester. With the graduate plan, what you have is an opportunity to volunteer or participate in other projects. And so in the following semester, so by joining and being a part of this community, then you're able to kind of move forward from there. So you'll be part of that bigger group in the beginning. You'll be learning, you'll be participating, you'll be part of one of these three focuses. And then your position here, either this will be an incredible stepping stone in which you can go and do your thing, or you can build within the organization and the community here and in the international community. And so the answer is yes and no, and depends on kind of how you work with the system and involve with it. But we so far have been able to match people with their goals and their interests and all that. And in the other programs. And the cool thing about the graduate plan is that this is a program that has everything that the other programs have, and teachers, professors. We have more access than what we've had. This is kind of a lot of our older programs on steroids, and so that kind of access and that ability kind of allows you to kind of build the career that you want.
And to add on to that, through the graduate plan, you'll be making so many connections and with organizations in the UN civil society that if you stay for a second set of semesters to volunteer for this program, then you can use those connections to build that first goal that you had in a much larger scale.
Yeah, thank you both. I think you can have enough youth programs. So it's really great that there's one that's really focused on not just projects, but also personal development. So that's really, really great. Thank you so much. Since we only have 4 minutes left, I just want to thank everybody for their great questions and our speakers for answering them. It's been really helpful and really informative, and I'm gonna hand it back over to Parker.
Thank you so much, Nishka. Just to echo what she said, this has been a phenomenal discussion, and I want to thank all of you for attending. I know that you don't need to attend, but it truly does help strengthen civil society, and it does help strengthen our global communities to engage in discussions such as these. Perhaps more than ever, during this COVID-19 era, we have realized the need to achieve the 17 SDGs. And there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and it might seem insurmountable, but I am confident that youth are going to play, are playing, and are going to continue to play a fundamental role in accomplishing the SDGs, and that includes our agents of change. And I feel fortunate to be part of that movement, and I would encourage anybody who is interested in wanting to join the movement and contribute your own skills and passions to click on the link that we've included in the chat box. Learn a little bit more. We're always open to at least discussing options and just to open a dialogue. So thank you again. And I want to thank all the speakers, and I hope that each of you have a phenomenal day and stay healthy out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.